Okay, I'm going to open up the Veterans Committee. It's a little bit past the appointed hour, 1600. So I'm officially going to call the Veterans Committee to order, and if we could take the roll.
Cook.
Here.
Penn. Atkins. Block. Gorell. Nielsen. Perez. Williams. Yamada.
Here. Block here.
Block.
Okay. We don't have a quorum as of yet. Unless there's any objections from the committee members, I was going to start as a subcommittee, keep things rolling along. We will hold off approving the rules of the committee, and we'll start right now with Mr. Knight has two bills to present.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, members. I am presenting AB 635 and 636. The goal of AB 635 is to streamline the definition of fees and tuition. Obviously, this bill has got some questions to it that are very easy to answer today. The GI Bill has been very specific. In fact, if you go on the GI Bill today, it'll say tuition assistance. And we have found that some of our young fighting men and women who have come over and used their GI Bill have had some issues in California colleges because a lot of our colleges say fees in them. And so basically what we're doing is streamlining this bill. It's a semantic bill. If they come over and they're using the colleges, we want them to be able to work toward their college education, whether it says fees or tuitions. Now, from an administrative standpoint, we're happy to say that the University of California system, California State Universities, and California community colleges have remedied this problem by regulation. However, our purpose in presenting this bill is to make these changes official in state law. And the reason for that is because many changes can come after this. We could have changes in the federal legislation. We could have changes at the federal law level. We could have changes here at the state level in administration. And we're basically trying to codify this so that everyone knows. We do realize that this measure is presently placed in Section 20 of the Military and Veterans Code. It would make more sense to be in Section 824, and we are willing to amend this bill to make that change. Additionally, we recognize that the current text is written as permissive, and we'd like to alter the bill so the language becomes mandatory. As written, California higher education institutions may designate mandatory education fees as tuition. We would like to amend the bill to say that California higher education institutions shall designate mandatory education fees. Now, there's a little provision in there, too. CSUs and city colleges, community colleges, would be shall, and UCs would be may, because of how it is written in UCs. With that, I have Pete Conity here for any technical questions, and I ask for an aye vote.
Mr. Conity?
Mr. Chairman, members, Pete Conity representing the California State Commanders Veterans Council, 22 of the military and veterans groups in the state of California, as well individually as the American Veterans Department of California, and we're in support of the bill. We had urged Assemblyman Knight to carry the bill to clarify this so that we don't have any problems in the future. So we respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, members of the committee. I'm Mike McGee with the State Chancellor's Office for Community Colleges. We did not get in a letter in on time, but we are supportive of both measures. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Committee members, any questions? Would you like to close, sir?
Simple bill. I ask for your aye vote.
Okay. Do we have a quorum yet? Okay. We're going to take a vote with the members that are here, and then I guess we'll add on. Thank you very much. Will you call the roll?
Cook.
Aye.
Penn. Atkins. Block. Gorell. Nielsen. Perez. Williams. Yamada.
Okay, thank you. We're going to keep this open until we get a quorum. You have a second bill, I believe.
I do. Thank you very much. AB 636 proposes to allow a service member in the United States military who must withdraw from the University of California or CSU or the community colleges due to deployment the option of either a refund or tuition of the fees already paid, regardless of withdrawal date. Servicemen and women obviously have little to no choice when they depart and are often given a short time frame in which to prepare for leave on deployment. If they are forced to leave midterm, they deserve to be given an opportunity for compensation, regardless of the date the institution mandates for student withdrawal. Current law gives servicemen and women three options. 1, that an institution shall provide reasonable accommodation. 2, credit of tuition toward a subsequent term. Or 3, a refund tuition and fees paid for the academic term, provided the student withdraws before the withdrawal date established by the institution. This bill will allow an active member of the military to withdraw from these three systems at any time, regardless of the withdrawal date set by the institution, and be eligible for reasonable accommodation, credit, or tuition toward a subsequent term. Now, since this bill has started, we've taken an amendment through the committee chair of a 3-year credit. And as we understand that the credit shouldn't last in perpetuity, that when these men and women come back, they should have that 3-year time frame, and then they can use that credit toward establishing their college degrees. I ask for your aye vote.
Do you have any witnesses?
I do. I still have Pete Conity with me.
He never goes away.
Pete Conity, representing the California State Commanders Veterans Council, the American Legion, and the AMVETS Departments of California, and we are in support of these bills, this bill.
Thank you, Mr. Conity.
Okay.
Any other witnesses? Questions? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Mr. Knight, Mr. Conity. Thank you. I appreciate that you have put some sort of certainty on the time frame, but just wanted to get a sense from you how the 3-year period was arrived at, and only because we know that the current experience with the multiple deployments that many of our young people and some older people are seeing is 3 years based upon some of that kind of data that are showing, some individuals having to go 4 and 5 and 6 times multiple deployments. I just want to be sure that 3 years, is the optimum time, and also certainly be fair to the educational institutions. And I mean, I'm going to support it, but I just wondered about the 36 months.
Again, that's a very good question. The way we came about this was that there should be some sort of time frame so that they don't have a credit 20 years down the line and they're going back and saying, I've got a credit over at CSU Bakersfield or something. Again, through the chair, if you would like to amend this from 3 years from the exit of deployment or from when they return, might be a better amendment.
3 years from the end of the deployment period.
From the
right?
end of the deployment period.
That would be more logical, I would think. Don't you think, Assemblywoman?
Thank you. I mean, I think that would be logical also from the standpoint that we know sometimes our returnees are not quite ready to attend school, or actually, they need some readjustment time. And so again, I just want to be fair. I don't want to complicate matters, but we want this to be reasonable for both the veteran as well as to the educational institution. And I don't know if this is sort of one of these surprise discussions. I don't know how your community college and UC and CSU partners
No, and
would react to this.
absolutely, I appreciate the amendment. We were considering more on the 1 year to 18-month deployment periods, so that's kind of, I think, the thinking of where the 3 years came about. I have no issue with going down the road of amending from 3 years from the end of deployment. I think that makes perfect sense. I agree that there is a transitional period, and again, that puts some finality on the credit, so that they do have to make that effort to getting back into school.
Okay. Can I review the bidding so everybody's clear? Because we've had people
This
coming
is a
in.
great committee. I just came from health. This doesn't happen.
This is one committee where, at least in the past, we've all gotten along. So, and I hope we don't change it. But, and that's why I wanted your input, and I will do that periodically to make sure that that I don't get ahead of everybody. The student must use the credit within 3 years. Is that correct?
That's correct, as the amendment stated.
And from the end until the end of active service. Is that correct?
Well, again, we were using 3 years from the credit from the institution. So if they withdrew today, they would have 3 years from today. But actually, they'd be going on deployment for a year and a half. So I think Assemblywoman Yamada makes a very good point that a year and a half would already be eaten up in theater, possibly.
So you're okay with her suggestion?
I'm absolutely okay. I think that's the right way to go.
Okay, and if not, the student's credit expires?
At 3 years from the end of deployment. So
That's right. And they can try and get a refund on request if the credit expires,
correct.
based upon what we agreed to.
Correct.
Now we got to put it in legalese and everything will be fine. You're okay?
A lot of people in the building can do that.
Okay, okay. Just wanted to, all right. So we're okay with that. Now I'm going to back up a little bit. And the first thing, while I got everybody, before they go to another place, let's establish a quorum.
Cook,
Aye. Here. Both.
Han, Atkins, Block, Gorell, Nielsen, Manuel Perez, Williams, Yamada.
Okay, a quorum is established. Now I'm going to back up and let's establish the committee rules. I'm looking for a motion and a second so we can get that piece of business out of the way. Motion and a second. Can you call the roll, please?
Cook,
Aye.
Han, Atkins, Block, Gorell, Nielsen, Perez, Williams, Yamada.
Okay. Now, the bill that's pending, that is just presented, can I ask for, are there any further questions before I ask for a vote on that bill? Okay. I ask for a roll call vote on the bill that was just presented. I think that would be important.
And, Mr. Chairman, if I may, so how is it that
As
we
amended.
incorporate the as of yet not written amendments, but with the understanding that those will somehow magically appear?
Well, our office will work to
Okay.
make sure the amendments are
Thank you.
And
as
you will-
stated today.
And you will be kept in the loop on this. And I have to apologize. When I was one of the ones that had some hang-ups on the language and exactly the way it was written, so I had some questions. And part of this is, I think sometimes we make these bills very, very complicated, and I want to make sure that everybody understood, in this case, me. So I appreciate your indulgence and willingness to work
Appreciate
with
the
us.
committee. Thank you.
Okay, call the roll.
Cook,
Aye.
Han, Atkins, Block, Gorell, Nielsen, Perez, Williams, Yamada.
Now, we had a subcommittee hearing on the first bill, and we didn't have a quorum, but I wanted to just make sure that this is kosher to call for that vote again while we have a quorum. Are there any questions by the members that missed the discussion on the first bill, which is in front of you, while we have the author and his witness here? Seeing none, then I will call for a vote again on the original bill that was presented, which bill number was 635. Roll call vote, please.
Cook,
Aye.
Pan, Atkins, Block, Gorell, Nielsen, Perez, Williams, Yamada.
Those bills are out. Thank you very much, Mr. Knight. Thank you for your indulgence with working with the committee. Assembly Member Block.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to begin by accepting the proposed amendments in the committee analysis. AB 713 clarifies protections for service members with regard to certain legal obligations and civil liabilities. This bill also extends some of those legal benefits and protections to the service members' dependents. The legislation specifically protects members of the National Guard and reserve components who transition back and forth between civilian and military life. AB 713 is supported by the California Credit Union League, the American Legion Department of California, and AMVETS Department of California, and the California State Commanders Veterans Council. It has no opposition, and I have witnesses who can talk to the particulars of the bill if members have particular questions. With me today are two representatives from the Military Department, Major Chris Weaver and Staff Sergeant Rebecca Walkenhauer.
Thank you. Your witnesses?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. I'm Staff Sergeant Rebecca Walkenhauer. I'm the State Legislative Liaison NCO for the California Military Department. And on behalf of the over 21,000 soldiers and airmen of the California National Guard, we strongly support this legislation. AB 713 will have a positive impact on many service members and their families who are struggling financially due to an order to military service by ensuring a service member's ability to access the court to petition for relief, and by also extending the interest rate reduction to a service member's dependents. The committee analysis that was put out on this bill was absolutely excellent and seemed to truly understand the intent of this legislation. So pending any questions, we would respectfully ask for your aye vote, sir.
Thank you very much. Next witness.
I'm just here as for technical advice from the JAG office with the California National Guard, sir.
Thank you very
Chris
much.
Weaver.
By the way, you guys look great in uniform.
Patty Salazar on behalf of the Credit Union League here in support of this bill.
Thank you very much.
Alex Alanis with the California Bankers Association. Just a little history on this. Well, we're in support of the measure. CBA was instrumental with Mr. Conity back in 2005 in drafting AB 306 by Mr. Baca, which established several deferments for financial obligations for reservists who are called to fight the war on terror. Last year, we supported 2455 by Mr. Nava, which extended those benefits to the reservists' dependents and spouse. We believe that AB 713 is an extension of that as well, which allows the rate reduction to be extended to the service member's spouse as well. Together as a family, they're both impacted by the financial burdens that are placed upon reservist families when they are serving their country, whether fighting the war on terror or being called to active and federal duty. So we strongly support the measure.
Thank you very much. Any questions of the author or the witness? Members, I would like to mention that Assemblywoman Atkins has joined us. Good to see you again. No questions. Okay, I'll accept a motion in a second if We have a motion and a second. We call the roll, please.
Cook,
Aye.
Pan, Atkins, Block,
Aye.
Gorell, Nielsen, Perez, Williams, Yamada.
How many votes? We have 5 votes. The bill is out. Congratulations.
Mr.
Thank you. Assemblywoman Yamada, would you mind chairing the committee? I'm not sure of the seniority or who's been at it, but you've been on this committee for quite a while. So if I made a mistake on that, I'll apologize to my colleagues. I try to, because I've got to go to work.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I'd be honored. Thank
You
you,
got
sir.
it.
It's a big chair to fill. All right. Well, as Colonel Cook approaches, we will be now taking up his bill. Let me just put this here, AB 167, the California Stolen Valor Act. Please proceed, Colonel Cook.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. In 2007, I authored AB 282, which prohibited individuals with the intent to defraud from falsely claiming to have earned military awards or declarations. This year, I'm authoring AB 167, which will name this established law the California Stolen Valor Act. The bill would also force elected officials to forfeit their office if they are convicted under this law. Under current law, an elected official must be convicted under the Federal Stolen Valor Act in order to be forced to vacate the office. But as many of you know, the Federal Stolen Valor Act has been ruled unconstitutional due to First Amendment issues. This is due to the fact the federal law does not include the phrase intent to defraud provision. Misrepresenting one's military record to defraud others is reprehensible. Due to the decision in the federal court, our state law lacks consequences for elected officials who would dishonor our service members and try to benefit unjustly from their sacrifices. AB 167 would now require elected officials found guilty under the state law to forfeit their office. And once again, I just wanted to emphasize again the big difference is that one phrase about intending to defraud, which changes the whole meaning of it. I have with me Mr. Pete Connerty. If you don't recognize him, he's kind of a mainstay of our committee here, one way or the other. Here.
Thank you, Paul.
He's our sixth man on the committee.
Yeah, this is Pete and Paul.
Thank you, Mr. Conity. Please proceed.
Thank you. Madam Chair, members, this wraps up into a nice package, previous bills authored by Assemblyman Cook and others, that really brings us to the point where we have our own state-level Stolen Valor Act. And because of the cloud that exists over the federal act, that's why it's necessary that we have this California Act. This bill is sponsored by the Vietnam Veterans of America, which were those first generation that really truly suffered from stolen valor. There was a book written around 1998 that's about that yay thick called Stolen Valor. You would be amazed at some of the names of people you know who claim they were in Vietnam. The Census Bureau, a little education, estimated that 2 million Americans served in Vietnam, but 6 million Americans claimed to have served in Vietnam when they did the census in 2000. So this is a very important issue for veterans groups, and that's why all the veterans groups are in support of this bill that are listed on your analysis. This bill passed out of public safety unanimously on consent, and I would urge you an aye vote on this legislation.
Thank you, Mr. Conity. Colonel Cook, do you have any additional witnesses in support? And we've been joined by Dr. Pan, who's actually your vice chair. So I could turn the proceedings over to him if you would like.
If you want to finish this item
Well,
first.
this is our final item, but anyway. Do you have additional witnesses that you wish to call in support, or any additional
I don't.
comments?
I would like to make one final comment.
Absolutely. Well, I guess then I should not ask you to close yet. I would assume there is no one in this room that would dare, no, I shouldn't say, should be here in opposition. All right, seeing none, then please, Colonel Cook.
The only thing I wanted to mention, obviously, I'm very close to the veterans groups, but I'm also close to senior citizens, which represent a large part of my district. And, we've had senior scams and everything else. It's a sad commentary on society when certain people misrepresent themselves and play upon people's emotions, because a lot of individuals are sympathetic to some of the things that veterans have gone through. And when they intend to defraud, and in some cases actually do defraud people, that is, as I said, very, very tragic. And hopefully this will remedy that situation in some small way. So I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Colonel Cook, let me turn to any of my committee members for comments. Anyone wishing to make a comment? Dr. Pan, something? Like you would like to say something? All right. All right. This bill has been properly moved and seconded by Assembly Members Block and Nielsen. Hearing no other comments, Secretary, please call the roll.
Cook.
Aye.
Han.
Aye.
Atkins. Block. Gorell. Nielsen. Perez. Williams. Yamada.
Aye. Thank you very much. Colonel Cook, that bill is out with unanimous support, and want to thank you for bringing it forward.
Thank you very much.
Turn this back over to you.
Well, I want to thank the committee for helping me do all the housekeeping and everything else, and I want to welcome and introduce our esteemed Vice Chair, Dr. Pan. I didn't know if he wanted to say any words. And
Sure. I apologize that unfortunately I came from Health Committee. My bill was actually the last one to be heard, and then we had to close out the committee, so I apologize for being here late, but hopefully in the future I'll try to be more timely if possible.
Well, I think we're all going to be playing this game in the future with all the bills, and as I said, I appreciate everyone's effort to get here, going from one place to another. I am, as you know, very punctual, so I get it moving so that we can get things done, get our business. And as I said, we had some issues with amendments, and I certainly appreciate the committee working with me on this. I don't have anything else to offer. I just want to once again thank you, and unless there are any questions or suggestions, I will hold it open for, 10 minutes? Okay. Then I will close this subject to the rest of the people adding on. Thank you very much.